Welcome to Caldes. Today I'm going to talk about property development, and in particular I'll be demonstrating how to build a successful financial viability model using Microsoft Excel. I've been helping clients appraise billions of pounds worth of property development since 1995. So for this reason it's incredibly important that we have a robust, standardized model that produces totally reliable results again and again. Through all the ups and downs of the property world, this product has stood the test of time, and it continues to deliver in its newest form, Caldes V8 Developer.
This video will give you a brief introduction to the software. For installation information, please see the v8developer.com website. The product consists of two areas. The left-hand side is the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet model. This contains the spreadsheets and formulas. The right-hand side is the Caldes Add-In. This controls the spreadsheet model. The first step is to log in. You only need to do this when asked. Press H2 and then add your email address. If you're not registered, then you'll be asked to register at this point. Otherwise, add your password. You'll then be taken back to the welcome screen where you can start your appraisal. To get started, press H1, the new project wizard. This will lead you through the simple process of creating your new project. Follow the instructions shown at the top of the right-hand panel. Press the grey button to move to the next step. This is the project overview sheet. You can type into any white cell anywhere in the system. A grey cell indicates a drop-down list. So for instance we can change to metric or imperial here. See the instructions on the right hand side. We're now going to add the project name, a start date, and the total net land value, if you know it. If you don't know the figure, add an estimate, because of course the whole point of a development appraisal system is to calculate the land value for you if you don't know it. Set the profit target to 0 for now. We'll come back to that later. Now click the grey button to go to the next step. This takes you to the land sheet. Currently we have just one tranche of land. We can add a second tranche of land by pressing L2. So now we have two tranches of land. I'm going to change the second tranche to be 25%, and we're going to pay for that in month 1, with the remainder paid for in month 4. The drop-down list is set here to commercial. If it was residential land, I could change that, and the stamp duty calculations would automatically change with the latest SDLT formula from the latest budget. I change it back to commercial for now. We can also add a legal fee and an agent fee for each tranche of land. Click the grey Next button to continue. Now we're looking at the overall sheet. The first section is for project construction fees, such as architect, quantity surveyor. We can relabel these by typing over any of the white cells. The amounts are percentages, but I can type in a figure instead just to delete the percentage sign, and you can see you get a lump sum figure. Now because this is an Excel template, you can easily put in your own figures here, save over your template, and the next time you start a project you'll get your own default figures. The next section is the planning and building regulations figures. Just type in a percentage or amount as before and the month that you want to pay those. We then put in our letting legal fee and letting agent fee. These will be for commercial properties mostly. If you're doing a residential scheme, it will just ignore them. The sale legal fee and sale agent fee go below that. Finally, for this sheet, we have the finance section. Most of the finance is actually done in the cash flow. So these are just some key figures such as bank arrangement fee. You might have a 1% charge at the beginning, which you can put in here. Click the next button to move on to step 5. Here we're looking at the units sheet. A unit can be a single building or a number of different buildings or flats or apartments that have the same characteristics. You can group units into phases, or each unit can be a phase on its own. We've designed the unit sheet to be as flexible as possible. Here we have pre-filled out a commercial unit. It's 5,000 square feet, £75 per square foot, a yield of 5%, giving us a value of 7.5 million. The first income or sale is in month 12, and we just got one sale, so there's no spread on that. It's just going to be sold in month 12. If I scroll down a bit further, you can see the construction area in orange. We've got 5,000 square feet. I'm going to change that to slightly bigger. And a cost per square foot of £35. A contingency of 5%. And then we have the construction, which is going to be month 3. And it's going to take 6 months to build using an S-curve. And we've got some other options here. We can make it monthly, or we can make it free type, where you can actually type straight into the cash flow the actual figures. But we'll leave it with S-curve for now. We can also have a tenants inducement section with 3 months rent-free period. To add another unit, you click U1 here on the right. Now we're going to add some residential units. I've now filled out a residential unit. This is made up of 10 subunits at 1,000 square feet each. We're going to sell those at £250,000 capital value. There aren't any letting fees on that, and the sale date is also going to be month 12, but we're going to sell these over 5 months, so that's 2 a month. If I scroll down to the construction section, you can see we have a construction area of 1,100 square feet, cost per square foot of £38, but I could put in a lump sum cost if I know that per unit, and then a contingency again of 5%. If we now look at the timings, we're going to start building those in month 6, and they're going to take 6 months to build as well. And then finally, there are no tenants inducements on these units. If I have more units to add, I press U1 again, and so on until I've added all of my units or phases. Now I press the next button to move on to step 6. This takes us to the cash flow. Here I can add any other costs. We call these bullet costs. To do this, I press button B3 and a new section is open for me. I've now added a road, and I can use standard Excel features where I can drag the figure, and that will put the same figure in each month. Let's add another bullet cost. This time I'm going to put in drainage, and I'm going to put that in month 2. You can keep adding more costs in the same way by pressing B3. Remember, These are costs after construction fees, i.e. they won't accrue construction fees at all. Now you may notice here that the wizard has now gone. To get back to where I was, I go up to Help, and I press H1 again, and we're back to where we were. Press Next to the next step. We're now looking at the finance section. We can have up to 4 different sources of finance. Initially, all of the finance is in source 1. I'm now going to add some finance to source 2. So here I've added 100% to source 2 of construction. The remainder is still in source 1. I'm going to change the rate for construction so you can see that's been split out. Now I'm going to add some equity to source 3. So you can now see I've added £50,000 and an interest rate of 0. This has reduced source 1. The finance section is very flexible. You can also type into any month where there's a white cell the exact figures. In addition, along the blue rows you've got the interest rate, which you can change on a monthly basis. We've finished with finance for now, so I'm going to click Next to go on to step 8. The wizard has now taken us back to the project overview, where we started. You can see that with a land value of £1 million, we have a very unrealistic profit of 348%. So I'm now going to put in a more realistic target. I've added 25%. Now we click T2, Goal Seek, and this will help the system to recalculate the land value. To get back to the wizard, I click Help and H1 as before, and then I click Next to continue. So we've made a lot of changes to our model. How do we show those changes in a spreadsheet that won't change automatically? Well, there's a special magic button called H4 which we press now, and that will go and fix those issues for us. We call this the System Health Check. This is now doing all the checks that we would do manually, opening up different cells, changing the length of the cash flow to the end month, and so on. It takes a couple of minutes each time, but you don't have to do it very often. It's all automatic, just sit back and wait for it to do its thing. This is all about making the presentation of each sheet perfect for printing or sending to a client. So that's now finished, and it's taken us back to the project overview, and you can see in the yellow section there are now no errors showing. Everything is correct. Press H1 again to continue with the wizard. Wizard complete. So let's have a look at the appraisal. The first section is all about income, and you can see we have our commercial and our residential units on there, and a total value of £10 million. We then go down to land, and you can see that we have 2 tranches, and a total land cost of 6.6 million based on the profit target of 25%. Then we go down to construction, so you can see the 2 different units there and a total construction cost of £626,000. Below that we have the relevant fees only, so the other fees that we haven't used won't show. Scroll down a bit more. We now have the tenants inducement figures and then any other costs. We only show the summary cost of other costs here because there could be a lot of them going on. Then we have finance. We've got 3 sources of finance. The worst case is the most you have to borrow on each source. And you can also see the interest there. And finally at the bottom we've got the KPIs, key performance indicators. So we've got our gross development costs, our net profit, IRR, and profit on cost, so on. This same layout is reflected in the cash flow, but on a monthly basis. Here you can see in the top section we have our income and our sales coming in, one a month for the residential and a lump sum for the commercial. We have our 2 tranches of land and the VAT associated with that and fees. We then have our 2 construction cost sections, so the commercial and the residential, and you can see there the S-curve with the costs increasing towards the middle and then tailing off again at the end. The fees then follow down from those costs, so they reflect the same S-curve. Tenants inducement figure comes in. Then we have our other costs as before. And finally we have the finance figures at the bottom. This also includes a positive interest rate, where if you're earning money on sales, for instance, then you will see this reflected at the bottom. I can now change to the chart sheet and we can see those figures reflected graphically. Here on the left you can see the first tranche of land and then the second tranche of land. The blue figure is the cash flow, so we've got the construction costs coming along this dotted line here. We then get our first sale and then the remaining sales. So the cash flow goes positive in month 12 and effectively finishes around month 17. Now we're going to look at the sensitivity analysis. We have 2 sections to this sheet. The first is the mini sensitivity in the top left hand corner, and in here I can try out different figures. So let's say we have to achieve a 30% profit on cost. I could change all of the income or rental or sale values in one go by putting in an extra 5%. You can see the profit on cost has gone up to 31, so that's pretty good. 4%, 29. So I can quickly play with the figures here. I could also change the building costs, and that would change everything, and you can see the effect instantly in the KPIs. Those KPIs are shown on every sheet, so you can always see the effect of changes instantly. The next area is the full sensitivity. I've got 2 axes and I can change what's going to be on each axis. So I've got rent stroke value on one, and I've got build cost on another, and then we've got the amount that we're going to change and the number of steps. Then we have the result or target that we're going to look at, so we can have profit on cost or we can have net land cost. To run the sensitivity, I press Tools and then T3. That will then run a little mini sensitivity on each of those figures and put the answers into a table for us. So now we can see up here in the right hand corner, if our rental values went up by 2%, but our building cost came down by 2%, then our target profit would change from 25% to 27.68. Other things that we can do with this are, for instance, our first sheet, sheet 1. I can go into here and I can turn everything on and I can delete everything, our instructions. It's a blank sheet effectively, and I can now build up my own QS figures and so on, and I can do usual Excel type things, and then I could feed this figure back into any blank cell in the system. So it gives you quite a bit of flexibility to do the kind of things that you want to do in Excel. Other appraisal systems that don't use a spreadsheet can't do this. And of course, because it's a spreadsheet, you can send this to pretty much anyone else and they'll be able to read the Excel spreadsheet just like you can, and they can even change the figures. What they can't do is change the model. Excel, of course, also has fabulous printing tools, and of course I can save it directly to a PDF within Excel. There are a number of other advanced features, such as spreading costs in the cash flow manually, typing directly into cells in the cash flow, and so on. But these are all available for discussion under our support contract. They're also available in the manual. We recommend you download the manual by going to the Help menu and clicking on User Manual here. That will download it directly from our website, and it will always contain the latest manual. We recommend you print this off and use it as a reference guide. We really hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.